You think you have DID? Let's chat. We're the Refuge System, a trans girl with dissociative identity disorder, autism, and ADHD, along with a plethora of other things, but those are the important ones for this video. Fair warning, we don't know how long this video is going to be, and if it gets too long, TikTok will not give us captions, so super sorry about that. Let's hope it gets popular enough to add them anyways. So the two most important things to remember with dissociative identity disorder is systems don't like to be discovered, and denial is part of the game. Now those two also kind of like lead into each other, but let's explain some other things first. How does DID happen? So when a child is born, they exist in different ego states. This is the prevailing theory, and honestly, when you break it down, it just makes a lot of sense. If you spend any time around a small child, you can see them go from angry to happy or sad to content very rapidly, seemingly with no input, right? Those are ego states. Now, as that child grows up, under the normal pretense, those ego states will form together into a single consciousness. And that singular consciousness will experience the wide vastness that is human emotions. However, in dissociative disorders, because of trauma, the brain says, nope, we cannot combine these ego states because that one remembers something really bad, and they actually don't need to remember that, but we also still need representation of that ego state, so let's create a split. And then it just keeps kind of happening. Alright, we got that out of the way, so let's talk about why systems don't like to be discovered. So what we just talked about is the brain creates splits with amnesiatic barriers between those different splits in order to protect the overall consciousness, because the trauma that one of those ego states went through is too much for the whole brain, right? So that's part of why systems don't want to be discovered. Those memories are kept locked away for the greater safety of the body. This is why not remembering your childhood is such a huge indicator when it comes to plurality. But obviously the brain knows that you still need access to those different emotional states, so that's where the split happens, right? That's where it throws up the amnesiatic walls, and you can't remember part of it, but you can still be sad. Okay, so now let's talk about denial. If you've followed along so far, denial makes absolute sense. Again, systems don't want to be discovered, so denial is an inherent part, because the more you start uncovering, the more you start connecting those different alters, the more memories come back, and those are not fun. So like, as much as we've made contact with the various people in here, we still go through very hard denial spells of like, am I just making this up? No, we're not. That's just part of it. Let's talk about some other stuff. In our recent videos, one of the things that we talked about, you can check the playlist down below, is that, well, I can't be a system. All the voices in my head sound just like me. And they're likely going to. Again, systems don't want to be discovered, and denial is part of the job. It's part of the game. So hearing the different, like, bounce backs of ideas and stuff, it's going to sound like you. Because it is you, but it's also not you. Now, movies like Split, which is a horrible movie, and has done incredible damage to the stigma behind dissociative disorders, will be like, oh, that wasn't me, that was Clarice. Oh no, I didn't murder those people. Yeah, it was me, Jonathan. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. What it often comes down to is something like, okay, yeah, I think we're feeling like toast. No, I don't want any toast. Okay, could we do like a ham sandwich? I mean, maybe. Ooh, does somebody want fried eggs? No, fried eggs isn't really on the table. And those are different people. Those are different thought concepts. Interacting with each other, having a conversation. But when you're autistic or ADHD, boy, that really kind of sounds like just having multiple trains of thought. The overlap is, we're gonna get into that in another video. Another aspect of that is sometimes it's not even a full sentence that's spoken back, but more like a general vibe that comes from like the back of the head, or sometimes even the front of the head. Headaches are pretty popular with dissociative disorders, and it's actually listed as a common symptom of them, so have fun with that. We did when we learned it. But yeah, a lot of our littles are like that. When we're trying to communicate with them, we don't always get full sentences back. We just get kind of like general vibes. And we have an alter who kind of helps translate that into sentences if it's a deeper like thought process. But yeah, it's not always just a conversation back and forth, which makes it even more confusing and fun. DID. Ha! Another important thing to note within all of this that we've been saying is that systems are very unique person to person. Yes, there is symptomology that can be tracked amongst many symptoms, like we just mentioned headaches. However, it's very much the same thing as if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. They are not like your 7-year-old cousin or whatever, right? So on and so forth. Other argument for other days. Which brings us to the final point of this video, and that is, what do you do with all of this, right? So our three biggest recommendations is start a journal. If you don't have a journal, start a journal. If you do have a journal, look over that journal and see what you find in there. It gets really fun and sometimes a little scary, but really fun. And then our other two recommendations are both clinical and anecdotal research. Clinical research is exactly like it sounds. If you're looking for some direct helpful links, we recommend the app Simply Plural. Under their helpful links section, there's some stuff that can get you over to a lot of things to help give you a base. And then anecdotal research means interacting with and following other systems. Listening to them talk about their personal experience. There's a lot of things that we've helped uncover in our own system by looking at the content from our system friends and listening to them and being like, oh shit, that's what that is. Now when it comes to anecdotal research, Reddit can be a good resource, but you need to be very careful with. What we tend to like to do when we're on Reddit is look at people sharing their experience, and then we kind of don't look at the comments because sometimes the replies are just, oh god, it's bad. It can be so bad. And our absolute last thing is that dissociative disorders do not have to be as scary as they are made out to be. Sometimes they are. We have woken up in the middle of the night with a new split coming out, horribly confused as to where they are, who they are, and what they are here to do. And that's not fun. We also are a polyfragmented system. We have a lot of splits, and that means sometimes we have fragmented flashbacks where we only get the emotional side, or we get maybe a scent, or smell, or sound, and that's it. And we have to try and figure out, okay, who's hurting? And yeah, that's scary. It's not fun. But also, a lot of times it's like, who ate my snack? And why didn't you share that? Why? Also, we're a smoker, and so sometimes we'll be on the last two puffs and somebody will be like, I'm the one who walked outside for this. Why? Okay, I'll just enjoy this. Okay, we're done. Good job, team. It's our final thing. Again, check the playlist. Yeah, that's horribly self-serving, but also we've done a wide variety of little fun skits and stuff that is a little more informational. Check it out. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. We are always exceptionally glad to help people. It's part of why we're called the Refuge System. But anyways, thanks for watching this. It's over 9 minutes long. There will not be captions, but we mentioned that at the start. So, yeah, thanks. Love you, bye.